So Matt, what have you been up to? You're not in the workshop today as well, I've just realised.
No, I'm not in the workshop for two reasons. Reason one, it's just been a bank holiday weekend. We arranged a time and then I totally forgot until 7:30 this morning. The other thing is we're going to start this episode with a classic Matt waffle. I had the chair in the workshop. I sat in it to record the podcast a couple of times. The rest of the time, I throw junk on it. It is just a dumping ground. I've got this wonderful idea that I'm just going to sit out there and relax and things. I've not done it in 4 weeks of moving it out there.
Right.
It gets covered in sawdust, but it takes up a good, probably metre square footprint of floor space. So can I justify it? Probably not. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. They didn't tell me I couldn't. Bosch came to visit me last Friday.
Wow.
They had 2 camera operators, a sound guy, someone from Bosch, and a couple of people from the marketing agency. And they set up, like, they call it the village, where they have a little tent in the garden where they've got monitors to monitor everything and headsets, and they...
No way.
They filmed me doing things for a day. I'd warned them, when they asked about it, my workshop's a bit tight for me and 3 other guys in there. But so I stripped pretty much everything out apart from the workbench.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I stripped everything out, oh, this is so nice not having stuff in here. So now I'm tempted, the chair's not necessary. I need the bandsaw back in.
Yeah.
And the drill maybe, but I'm loving kind of having the space.
So what is the Bosch thing about? Is it about, are they putting some sort of marketing video together or something?
Yeah, they wanted me to build a couple of things and they're going to use it on social media and stuff.
Cool.
I mainly said yes because I was really interested in talking to all the camera
Yeah,
people.
learning from them, yeah.
They were saying they were really happy with how it looked. I think because my workshop, as much as people be moaning about my workshop's too dark and they hate it, I think it looks cool and atmospheric and not like other workshops. So it's interesting. Their plan initially was to build a herringbone top console table.
Right.
Which I know is something you've done because I came across your video while researching it. And I think we might get to my recommendations at the end with that. I'm not going to recommend you, I'm sorry. I think that's a bit too meta. But they were going to get a carpenter, to build the tabletop and me to kind of finish it off with the legs. And then I think the carpenter was too busy. So it's can you build a console table in one day?
Bloody hell.
Maybe not. Oh, and a drill charging station. But then they spent 2 hours just staging it with Bosch tools and taking pictures of Bosch tools. Guys, we really need to start building things.
This sounds like a very long day. What time did you start and finish?
They got here at 8 and left at 7.
Oh, wow.
I didn't realise how tired I was until the second they went. And I, crashed. But it was good fun.
Did you get it all done then?
Yeah, did. Got the console table made, got the charging station made, and they got all the photos of the tools, and we kind of did a bit about their sanding meshes. It's a tricky one. They wanted to show off how better the dust collection on mesh sanders is.
Yeah.
And I was saying to them, I don't think I've ever noticed a difference, and I've watched other YouTubers do reviews, quite scientific ones, and not noticed a difference. And I was like, I think I've noticed maybe a difference when you've done some filling of plaster.
Yeah.
And sanding, because it's so fine. I don't think it really works particularly great for sawdust, especially we were sanding pine, so you get, I think, quite big bits.
Yeah.
So we filmed it all, and they were looking at the footage no, we can't tell any difference. Yeah, I think I prefer the traditional standing pads because they last longer. We did that whole segment, and it's I'm not sure that even
shows any different.
Yeah.
Oh, at least your theory has been proven then.
Well, and I liked them for that as well, because they could have gone, we can fake it and make it look better, and they're like, oh no, well, if it doesn't genuinely show that they're better, well, then it doesn't show they're better.
Yeah.
I've had a weekend of car boot sailing.
I saw you eating a nice breakfast sandwich on social media.
I had 2.
Yeah.
Not on the same day. It went 2 days running, same place. Burger, sausage, bacon, onions, mushrooms, egg. It was just, it's my new death row meal, this. It's a real indulgence. But yeah, I bought a few tools.
Yeah.
None of which I needed because I've already got boxes of tools everywhere. But 50p for a chisel,
Yeah.
what am I gonna do? I can't turn down a Marple's chisel for 50p.
It's difficult. Anything special?
You get things thinking, I'm going to get that because that'll be a video one day. And then you shove it in a box and forget about it. But I bought an old garden spade. I've had a couple of new garden spades, and they're not flat. They're almost halfway between a spade and a shovel, I find all the new ones.
Yeah.
If you're cutting like turf, I don't want the ends curving up or going round.
Yeah.
So I got a really old one that's really nice, so heavy, but it's missing the handle. They must make them out of ash, I think, and then they like split the top into a Y, don't they, for a fork handle? And I don't know, do you think they steam bend it out?
I don't know. Certainly I found with old garden tools though, like if you buy anything modern that isn't really expensive, they're just useless, aren't they? They bend, they're just not solid. And yet you spend a fiver at a car boot sale for something really old, and it's just the bee's knees.
Yeah, exactly. But I thought, if I have to split some ash and then bend out into a Y, that is steam bend it or something. I'm going to have to watch some videos on how they do it.
That sounds cool.
Like, steam bending is something I'm very interested in doing. And I've got a wallpaper stripper. So I've got the kind of how to produce steam.
Yeah.
Have you done steam bending?
Years ago I made a ukulele. I used the approach of soaking the wood. It was oak that I was using, quite thin. I was probably about 3 or 4 millimeters thick, and then I put it in the microwave and heated it for I don't know how long, perhaps a minute or so, and it came out so bendy. And then I just put it in its form and clamped it in, and it came out pretty good. It was a method I saw on a Matthias video, Matthias Wandel, but I haven't done it with I've seen it done in pipes and stuff, like long
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'd like to try it
Oh, that's
again.
fascinating, the microwave, but I don't think that's going to work for a fork handle.
You'd need a pretty big microwave.
Pretty big microwave. What have you been up to?
I took a bit of a break from YouTube. I was still working, but I didn't post in 2 weeks, and I think I worked out that was only the second time I've ever not posted for 2 weeks running. Since 2016 when I started, which is mad. But like you, Matt, I've recently upgraded camera, and I wanted to get to grips with editing in 4K and color grading and lots of other stuff. So I took some time off to focus on that, filmed 3 videos, which are part of the handmade kitchen from scratch, which I'm installing into our utility room. So I've done one about the kitchen cabinets, one about installing the kitchen, which I think is going to be probably the most interesting because there's some problematic challenges to overcome in that one. And then the third one was about worktops and backsplashes. I'm really excited about that one as well because I used some unusual materials to make them. And then I fitted a couple of windows as well. We're trying to replace all of the windows on our bungalow, and I've fitted a couple of windows in the past with my uncle, just small ones in my workshop, and I thought I can probably manage this on my own. But the windows that I fitted are really big ones, and it was a bit daunting. I was a bit worried about how heavy the glass panels were going to be, but actually they were only 26 kilograms. And I bought some of those suction cup things so that I could lift the glazing into place, and it was no problem whatsoever. Actually, I really enjoyed fitting the windows, and it's easy, I would say. It's not that difficult. I'd always seen it as quite an intimidating thing, but there's not really much to it. Once you get your head around toe and heeling the glazed panel, which is similar to like bracing a gate and having the diagonal supports in, once you get that right, it's not too bad. At the weekend, we went to a barbecue, and when we came back, I was in the car a little bit drunk, and Ria just clipped our wall in the garden. So that came down. That's the second time the wall's come down since we've moved in here. It's been hit before that as well and had to be rebuilt by a bricklayer. But this time it's just the corner of the wall. So it's like the pillar at the end and then sort of part of the wall as well. So yesterday I spent most of the day with Ria in the workshop just cleaning up the old bricks that came out. And I'm thinking I might have a go at patching that up myself because I don't really want to hire a tradesman to come back just to fit at the end of a wall. It seems like a small enough job for me to have a go at myself, so I'm going to have a go at that, I think.
Well, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. If it looks rubbish, I can knock it down again and get the professionals in.
Is that going to be a video, do you think?
I don't know. I filmed a little bit of cleaning up the bricks. Depends how it pans out. If it turns out being a bit boring, then I won't bother.
My front wall is missing a couple of top layers. Part of me is just tempted to knock the whole thing down, which would probably take about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It would take more time to get rid of it all than to actually knock it down. I was thinking I could build a bin store around the front, because it's just so many of the neighbours leave their bins in the front garden anyway, rather than have to keep bringing them around the back of the house.
Yeah.
It's like I could make a bin store that is kind of like, that is the front wall.
I quite like the idea of doing a fence as well, but not a picket fence, but something along those lines. I think that could be quite a fun project.
Yeah, I'm the same. My wall would have to be like L-shaped. So I was thinking one side of it would be the bin store, and then maybe a picket fence
Nice.
style on the other one. And then I get to make a gate as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem a priority, even though my house looks really scruffy because it's got a half fallen down wall. But then I like having the scruffiest house on the street. You know, it sets the bar for everyone else.
Yeah.
I feel no one's going to rob me because they look at my house like, that person's going to have nothing of any value
This guy's got no money.
And they're right.
Yeah, but all of these bungalow upgrades are mainly for something that I haven't really mentioned publicly yet. Obviously, Matt, you know this already, but Ria and I are expecting a baby in June. So not long to go now. Everything with Ria's pregnancy has gone really well so far. So yeah, baby Brown coming June 2023. We've got his nursery sorted. One of the windows that I installed is for his nursery. I should say as well, it's a he. It's a boy.
I think we got that.
And yeah, just trying to do all of the things that haven't been done to the bungalow that we can sort out before he arrives. And there's just so many projects. I think I've mentioned to you a few episodes ago that I felt like I was just running out of things to do, and now I've got a list of jobs. It's horrendous the amount of things I need to get done, and some of them need to be done before the baby comes and others don't. I've got no shortage of jobs at the moment.
It's good. So this is your new business model. Every time you run out of ideas, you're just going to get pregnant.
Have some sort of life-changing event that, yeah. I mean, moving house is always a good one, isn't it? But,
moving house is always a great one.
Yeah.
That sorts you for a couple of years.
Yeah, totally.
For me, it's having a mother. The amount of jobs, and you're always doing things for family, aunts and things as well, aren't you?
Yeah, I quite like that though, because I try not to do any commissions for anyone that isn't a family and friend anymore.
Their expectations are more manageable, I feel.
Yes. And also they know that I'm going to be around if anything goes wrong, to put it right. They know that I'm not going to do a runner, so it works well for them as well as me.
I know we've discussed this before, but congratulations on the baby.
Thank you.
The nursery, I don't suppose that's a video, is it? Because that's just mainly painting and decorating, is it?
Yeah, I mean, the room was already decorated. I put the new window in, which will be a video. I need to put a blind up. That's not going to be a video. There's not really much more to it. We've just bought everything we could ever need and put it in that room. And I think for the first 4 to 6 months, the baby won't even be in the room anyway.
Yeah.
It'll be in the bedroom with us. Bedside cot thing.
So we talked about cribs, and I think you were saying you've got loads of time because the baby's not going to be in that room. Are you still planning on building one?
I'm in two minds about it, really, because I would love to do one, and I think I've got an interesting idea for doing one. But on the other hand, they're only in it for such a limited amount of time. You can get cots for virtually no money at all on Facebook Marketplace, which might just need a bit of a clean up. And also, the videos don't do well at all on YouTube. Anything baby related does terribly.
Oh, that almost surprises me. I thought that'd be kind of things people search for, like wedding and baby related stuff are always big money makers, aren't they?
I did like a mobile for my niece before, and that did terribly, and I did a couple of other baby related projects, and yeah, they flatlined.
It would definitely be a big project, wouldn't it? And probably quite expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just use up all that old lead paint you got laying around and things like that.
And of course, there's other things as well that you don't even think of, like our dining table, which I absolutely love. It's an Urkel one that I picked up secondhand and basically refinished, but it seats 4 people. You know, you can get 6 round it at a push. But of course, when I have my family round, there's me, my wife, my mum, my dad, my brother, his wife, Tabby, my niece, and now we're going to have baby Brown. That's 8 people. So now I need a new dining table as well. So that's going to be a project at some point.
He's going to need a high chair.
Yeah.
Have you seen the ones that don't have legs? They just kind of hook onto the side of the table.
No.
They're cool.
I might look into that.
Dining room table would be good. Have you got a design?
I've got a rough idea of what I want to do. It's just a bit... The room where it's going fits this 4 to 6 seater perfectly, and I don't know what shape is going to be best in that room, because it's the room that I walk through to get to my office, and I don't really want anything getting in the way. I want to just be able to get into my office quickly. So yeah, I need to think about it a bit more, really. But I always think it's surprising how little space you need to eat. Often if you're in a cafe or a restaurant, they'll cram you into such a small... and like... For a desk, you really need... I feel like you really need 700 to 800 mil of depth for your monitors to be at a comfortable distance. Whereas for dining, you can pretty much have 2 people face to face with like probably as low as 600, because plates don't take up that much space. You know, you might have some side plates or something in the middle of the table, but yeah, I don't know.
See, I'm going to disagree with you.
Yeah?
I think that's very true in restaurants and stuff, but I think of the family meals when I go around my mum, when you have all the food in the centre of the table and all the dishes, there's never enough room. And I want to create... I've been brainstorming this idea for ages, almost like a second tier. Like, you know, you have a runner that goes down the centre of the table.
Yeah.
Like a second tier wooden runner, so that you can have dishes underneath it and on top.
That sounds cool.
And also it might block your view of the people opposite, but...
That's fine, I want to see the food.
And be able to get to it. But that's the thing, if you've got 8 people around it, sometimes you need duplicates of food. You want 2 gravy boats and things, because otherwise it takes forever to get it passed around to you. Like, no, I need my gravy, quick.
Yeah.
Because was a chef, I guess there might be 10 dishes when I cook a Sunday roast. So that's a lot of things to put in the centre of the table.
Yeah, of course the other thing to consider as well is chairs, because I'd love to make a chair for the dining table. I don't want to make 8 chairs. For what I do for a living, I can't make 8 chairs because I just can't justify the time to make those 8 chairs. I could make 2 chairs, possibly 4 at a push, but there's no way I'm making 8. So I think I'm going to have to just buy some nice chairs to go with the table, because it would take me 2 weeks to make that many chairs, I reckon, and I just can't justify that much time not making videos, unfortunately.
No, and the video is only of making a chair.
Yeah.
How many chairs do you want? Do you think 8 chairs? Sorry, you said 8,
I think
didn't you?
so.
So you kind of need 6 matching chairs, and then maybe 2 carvers for the ends.
Carvers?
They have the arms.
Oh, right. Fancy.
Yeah, the end chairs tend to have arms for some reason on a lot of table sets.
Just thinking about this practically, though, there's no way I'm going to have 8 chairs permanently set up in that room, because it's not a big space. So maybe 6 then, and maybe 2 chairs that we just pull in from another room or something.
So you could buy 4 matching chairs, armless, and then make the 2 end ones.
That would be interesting.
Wanted to do it.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
I guess they're called carvers because the person sat at the end would carve the meat.
Right.
I have no idea. People are probably going to say that is definitely not why they're called that. But yeah, I've only got a couple of chairs, and they've both been videos of ones I've bought and then kind of done up. And I like the idea of having 6 chairs that are all completely different.
Yeah.
So I can kind of look when I go to boot sales and things. I guess Urkel tables are all pretty much ovaloid shapes.
This one is circular, but it's got 2, what do they call it? Leaves, yeah, that fold up and then get supported from underneath. You can get rectangular Urkel tables. I've been looking at one of those on Facebook Marketplace. I mean, the Urkel tables go for like £300-400, and I just think that's so cheap for what you get. A solid elm top, beech legs and frame. They're just so solidly built, and I think they're absolutely beautiful tables. But yeah, the idea of buying another Urkel table and then having a child that scribbles on it with crayons and stuff like that. I just don't, if that happened to my current table, I'd be devastated. I mean, obviously I could scrape it down and refinish it, but that's the beauty of having a solid wood table as well, is that if it gets destroyed, you can just start again with a new layer of wood, which is great.
But you're right about the value, because it would cost you 400 quid in the hardwood alone to make that.
Absolutely. They're incredible value. Yeah, and such beautiful pieces of furniture as well. I'm not really that big a fan of the Urkel chairs, though. The Windsor chairs with the spindles at the back and the round
I don't love those.
Yeah, I feel like it doesn't really fit with the mid-century aesthetic. It feels a little bit too classic and a little bit too dainty in a way. There are some amazing mid-century design chairs, though. We're talking thousands and thousands of pounds per chair, probably, some of the ones I've seen, but they're so beautiful. And those are the chairs that I'd like to take inspiration from in making them, if I ever did make them.
I know you've mentioned before that you're not a big fan of any kind of project that has kind of like mechanical moving parts.
Yeah.
But I always think the tables that have... you undo the clips and you pull it out and you put the leaf in the centre are a good use of space, aren't they? 'Cause most of the time, you do just want to... there'd be 3 of you at the table.
Yeah.
But then occasionally, you just need to be able to... say you have a 6-seater table that you can convert to an 8-seater table on those a few times a year that you do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the one I've got, you pull it out and then it's the centre leaf is built in, folded up like a book, and then when you pull it out, it folds.
Yeah, I've seen those.
Like,
yeah,
like I have no idea how that operates, but you can just get ones you pull apart on a runner, and then the leaf you just keep under a sofa or something, and you just get it out and drop it in and push it back. That seems simple.
I was thinking of just making a big table, but now you've thrown into the whole the equation of the whole extension stroke folding leaf side of things. That would be a really cool project.
Well, you were just saying that you walk through that room to get to your office, so you don't want to have to every day squeeze by things.
You're absolutely right. I'm so glad we had this conversation, because that's really inspired me to do something a bit more creative that will fold down to accommodate the 3 of us. I mean, in truth, Rhea and I would always eat our dinner at the sofas anyway, watching TV, which is terrible, I know, but... since she's been pregnant, obviously she's more comfortable sitting at a chair, so we have been sitting at the dining table every day. But how could you do that in a way that... I still want the table to look cool. What kind of mechanical hinge type things would be needed in order to do something like that?
All I think of it is it's like a square table that's cut in half, and then it has pretty much just something like drawer slides under it.
Yeah.
And then you just pull the 2 leaves apart, that leaves a gap, and then you've just got a 3rd piece of wood that you drop in and then push back together. They're the simplest ones.
I like this, yeah.
And I guess what you do is you make a huge tabletop and then cut the centrepiece out. Yeah. So that all the grain matches perfectly.
Yeah, that would be great. God, you're a clever guy.
Oh, I didn't invent the extending table, did I? I've mentioned something that already exists.
But this just shows how terrible I am at thinking things through and also doing research, because I'm like, how am I going to fit in an 8-seater table without actually thinking it through? It's such an obvious thing in a way, but it just never occurred to me.
Well, that's why I always find these sessions...
Yeah.
I mean, when we're recording a podcast, but it's also half brainstorming our own projects, isn't it? Because when you think of a project, you get stuck in a rut of thought.
Totally.
And then someone else just throws something in like, oh, wow, yeah, you could totally do it differently.
Yeah.
Hello, Matt here. It takes us quite a lot of time to prepare and produce each episode of this podcast, and we'd like to keep putting it out for free. If you enjoy the podcast and you'd like to help, support and shape future episodes, you can find a link to our Patreon page in the show notes, or just search online for Workshop Banter Patreon. Thank you, and now back to the podcast.
But yeah, obviously having a child, I don't know how that's going to affect my channel in terms of how regularly I'm putting out videos. I was hoping to do as many of them as possible, schedule them for a week or every 2 weeks or whatever it might be, to kind of keep the videos coming out while I'm busy getting to grips with being a dad. But yeah, I haven't really managed to make any headway on that. I've got like 2 in the bag so far, and that's it. And all I've been doing for the past 4 weeks has just been working solidly every hour that's available. But and obviously I don't know how it's going to affect the podcast as well. We've obviously chatted about this a little bit offline in terms of how do we keep it going with sort of my time being a bit more limited. I don't want to stop it. Hopefully you don't either. We want to continue it. I think it's going to be a bit of a suck it and see in terms of how often we can put them out and how often we can make them.
We've always been quite flexible with our schedule, haven't we? We try to do fortnightly, but sometimes things just come up, and we're just going to have to go with the flow, aren't we, and see how things are. We have no intention of stopping this, but we might miss the odd episode. I mean, we could do shorter ones, we could do little bite-size ones occasionally, and I don't have any kids. I have no idea what it's like. I have a niece and nephew, and I have to sit in a dark room for 2 hours after I've seen them. So I can imagine it's going to be a pretty intense time. I'm sure a lot of our listeners have children, and so to be able to do all these things, it's the priority now, isn't it? But
priority is a good word as well, because obviously you do have to prioritise things in terms of the things that bring in the money, and obviously the podcast doesn't really do that. I mean, obviously we're hugely grateful to the supporters of the podcast that, you know, make that all so much easier, but it's just harder to justify allocating time to something that doesn't bring in as much money, especially I suppose when you've got a family to support, which is something I never thought I'd say, but
the podcast is totally not, we do it for the fun of it, because we're, as I say, we're very grateful for the support, but it does not cover the costs of the hosting and the websites and all the other bits, let alone the days you spend editing the things and the hardly any time I put into anything.
I've had a lot of messages as well. Not a lot of messages, but I've had a few messages from people saying I'm really interested in starting a woodworking podcast. It's like, because they're talking about it as almost like a business opportunity, and it's like it's not a business opportunity. I'm really sorry to say, but like I'd love to listen to it. Don't get me wrong. If you make one, I'll tune in for sure. But
yeah, some of the big American ones that have a lot of listeners might make a bit of money, but to be honest, their channels are so big, it'd still be a drop in the ocean. They'd make more money if they didn't record the podcast and just did an extra video. Yeah, obviously it's a little bit easier for us when we had sponsors as well, but they seem to have dried up lately, and I've made a few approaches to various companies, but not really come to anything, unfortunately. I mean, everyone's struggling with the cost of living at the moment, aren't they? And I think companies are cutting back as well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What have you been watching, and how many this time?
So I've got 2 this time. The first, these are both a couple of weeks old now, maybe longer than that. The first one was by Sean Boyd Made This, who you may know from Four Eyes Furniture, because he worked with Chris Salamone for quite a while. But he made this incredible looking, it's a pantry, but it's got more of a wardrobe look to me. And if you like the whole wood and brass combination, and you like mid-century modern style furniture, this is just one of the best pieces of furniture that I've ever seen on YouTube, hands down, I would say, in terms of how it looks. It's just fantastic. It's lovely. Definitely check that out. So it's called Complicated But Fancy, and it's by Sean Boyd Made This. That's
great, because I loved Sean Boyd's videos, and I love Four Eyes Furniture videos, and I was a bit disappointed when they joined forces, because I liked watching 2 different style. I don't know, I felt like I was getting less content, which I probably wasn't. He's moving away, isn't he, or something, so they've gone back to different channels. This music that Sean Boyd uses in his videos, which is like really cringe, but I really like it. They're both funny guys as well. Do you know the one I mean? It goes yes. There's just something really calming about it. I'm embarrassed now because I was singing on a podcast, but I love it. The second video I wanted to mention was by Pask Makes. Oh, and I didn't realise this, but it's yet again a brass-related thing. But he made his own brass hammer, and he's actually gone into production with a couple of other people to
make loads of these so that he can sell them, kind of thing. But seeing it being made by him was just great, and it's such a nice looking thing. So that's called How to Make This Beautiful Hammer.
I love brass. Brass and walnut is my favourite combination, I think.
Yeah, I'm not a huge walnut fan, but brass with any kind of wood just looks... There's something about it, isn't there? I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Particularly darker coloured woods just looks...
Yeah, particularly darker coloured.
Yeah. What have you got for us, Matt?
I bet you have talked about this chap before. Justin Bailey, JBTV.
Never heard of him, I don't think.
Okay, because English maker, he does a lot of more DIY type things. Looking at his channel, there's a lot of more painting, decorating, finishing stuff. So I thought, how to make your own extending dining room table scaffold board top.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through and saw that. You found that, have you?
I've just found it, yeah. I'm adding this to my watch list.
But I found him by looking at a herringbone table build. And actually, he's got a video about finishing it with some Osmo oil. So you probably won't watch that one.
That's right up my street. Anything to do with finishes, even if it is Osmo.
But yeah, no, I just watched his herringbone video and great, show me what I wanted to know. I think because I was so tight on time, because I probably would have just done it without watching a video, but I just wanted to look through every step, and I had to even write a little schedule for the build.
I'm just looking at this thinking, how has this channel never been recommended to me on YouTube? Because
exactly
he's got
the
some
same.
good views on some of them, and it's just
20,000 odd subs, but never heard of another English maker.
It's mad, isn't it? Cool. Check that out. It looks good.
Thank you for listening. You can find Keith on YouTube by searching for Rag N Bone Brown and me by searching for Badger Workshop. We have a Patreon page if you'd like to help support us in making future episodes of the podcast. Link to that in the show notes. And we have a Workshop Banter Instagram and Facebook page if you'd like to get in touch, which is @workshopbanter, all one word.